Inside every man, there is a sleeping giant. A giant of immense power, of ferocious discipline, and of unwavering will. This is the man you are truly capable of becoming, your highest potential. But for most of us, this giant remains asleep for our entire lives. He is lulled by a sweet and poisonous song. The song of comfort, of ease, of taking the path of least resistance. This is the song of our primal instincts. That voice in your head whispering for you to hit snooze, to avoid the difficult task, to stay quiet when you should speak. That is the lullaby that keeps your inner giant dormant. This video is not about adding anything to you that you don't already have. It is an alarm clock. It is a guide to waking that giant up. Drawing on the wisdom of ancient philosophers who understood this inner battle, we will explore how to starve the voice of comfort and begin feeding the giant of your potential. Today, we learn how to unleash the power you already possess. Part 1. Forging Black Box Resilience. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." He wasn't being poetic. He was describing a psychological forging process. Every truly powerful person you know has walked through fire, but what separates them is that they didn't just survive the fire, they learned how to use its heat. This is the concept of black box resilience. Imagine an airplane's black box. It is designed to withstand the most catastrophic crash imaginable, preserving the essential data. A person with this resilience has been through their own personal crash, a devastating failure, a betrayal, a profound loss, and has not only survived but has emerged with a new, unbreakable internal operating system. The startup founders crash. Consider two startup founders. Both launch their dream companies, both pour years of their life into them, and both fail spectacularly. The first founder is destroyed. The failure becomes his identity. He tells everyone, "I'm the guy whose company went bankrupt." He becomes cautious, bitter, and afraid to try again. The crash broke him. The second founder is also in pain, but after the initial grief, she begins a different process. She sees the failure not as a reflection of her worth, but as a black box containing priceless data. She ruthlessly analyzes what went wrong, the flawed marketing, the ignored customer feedback, the toxic hire. She emerges from the wreckage not with shame, but with a brutal, clear-eyed wisdom that she could not have learned any other way. A person with black box resilience has a different relationship with pain. They don't fear it because they've already met it and survived. They have a deeper capacity for empathy because they understand suffering. They are harder to manipulate because they have already seen the worst of human nature and are no longer naive. They have looked into the abyss, and instead of falling, they learned how to build a bridge across it. Part 2. Defeating the Time-Lapse Illusion. As we get older, we all feel it, a strange acceleration of time. Summers that once felt like entire lifetimes now blur together. The years start to feel like weekends. This isn't just a feeling, it's a dangerous psychological illusion that keeps people average. Psychologists call it time compression. When our lives are filled with routine, our brain, in its efficiency, stops recording the individual details. It compresses weeks and months of monotonous action into a single blurry memory. This creates the illusion that time is speeding up, and this illusion has a devastating consequence. It makes the future feel distant and unreal. This leads to a mental trap where we overvalue immediate gratification and undervalue long-term investment. Why start learning that skill? It will take years. Why save for retirement? It's decades away. The powerful person wages war against this illusion. They know that to master their life, they must master their perception of time. The novelty injections. The antidote to time compression is novelty. The brain records new experiences in high definition. A powerful practice is to intentionally inject small, consistent doses of novelty into your routine. It doesn't have to be a round-the-world trip. It can be as simple as taking a different route to work, intentionally trying a new recipe every week, reading a book from a genre you'd normally never touch, or visiting a different park on your weekend walk. These small acts force your brain to wake up from its routine-induced slumber. They create new memories, stretch your perception of time, and make you feel more engaged with the life you are actually living. It It keeps the future feeling close and real, making long-term goals feel urgent and achievable. Part 3. Shifting from consumer to creator. The final mindset shift is the most profound. Look around. Most people live their lives in a state of passive consumption. They consume entertainment, they consume products, they consume social media, they consume other people's ideas. Their primary mode of interaction with the world is to take in what has already been created for them. The truly powerful individual understands that this is only half of the human equation. They are not just consumers, they are creators. They don't just absorb the world, they add to it. This isn't about becoming a famous artist or inventor. It is a fundamental shift in how you engage with everything. The active versus the passive hobby. Consider two people who both love video games. The first person is a consumer. They play the game, they beat the levels, they enjoy the story, and when it's over, they move on. Their experience is passive. The second person starts as a consumer, but then shifts to being a creator. They don't just play the game, they analyze it. They start a small blog or YouTube channel breaking down the game's level design. They write a detailed guide for other players. They create a community around a specific strategy. What has happened here? The creator is no longer just receiving value, they are building it. This requires a deeper level of thinking, a higher level of engagement, and a powerful sense of agency. The consumer asks, "What's next?" The creator asks, "What can I build with this?" When you see a brilliant movie, don't just enjoy it. Try to understand its 3-act structure. When you read a powerful book, don't just absorb it. Try to write a single page that emulates its style. This shift from passive consumption to active creation is the final step in forging a powerful mind. You stop being just an audience member in the theatre of life and become one of its directors. These are the 3 mindsets: forging resilience from your darkest moments, defeating the illusion of time to reclaim your future, and shifting from a passive consumer to an active creator. Each of these requires you to fight against your most basic instincts. The instinct for comfort, for routine, for ease. It is an uncomfortable path. It is a path that most will not take, and that is why it leads to a destination that most will never see. The journey to becoming powerful is not about changing the world outside. It is about the quiet, daily, and heroic war to reforge the world within.